Yo, what's going on? We on the air. Let's get to this here. Where is it going? What's going on here? Am I on? Can't you tell if I'm on. It's just tripping. Amateur hour right now, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, there we go. We're good. And we're live. Coming in the red corner. No, all right. Let's get to this here. Yeah, I want to talk about what's been going on the last couple of days. What's the big story? Islam cheating. Is he cheating? What's happening with that? I'm talking about the fight that just came on UFC 284, pound for pound number one against pound for pound number two. We had number one, which was Alexander Volkanovski, challenging for number two in the pound for pound rankings, Islam Makhachev's lightweight title. And Islam got the decision 3-2, won the fight. Very close fight. There was a couple rounds that could have went either way. I think particularly 2 and 3 could have went either way. One was clearly for Islam. 5 was clearly for, and 4 I thought was for Islam too, actually. But the ones that were clear, like you knew for sure who won those, that had to be those 2 rounds. And then we had Dan Hooker come out. Well, first, right after the fight and the post fight, we heard Volkanovski after it was announced that, or before it was announced, actually, Islam telling his corner, I want a rematch already because he felt like he lost that fight. So that was already there. Then Sunday, Dan Hooker comes in and says, basically he's a cheating cunt. He didn't, he took an IV. You think you're going to get an IV in Perth and not let us find out about it, like let it go secret. So that was kind of the story right there. I'm not sure what type of evidence he has, but I guess maybe they know the nurse. I'm sure if they're from the region, the area, they hear things, they talk to people. I'm not sure. I don't know how much truth is to it. I really don't. I mean, it could be a bunch of BS. It could just be Dan Hooker being a hater. I'm not sure about that, but because he also lost to Islam. But Islam has tested dirty before, got busted by USADA and suspended. But I don't know if it was like fault of his own or if it was. I can't remember. I think it was a tainted substance from what I remember. But nevertheless, it was guilty. So if it's tainted, it is what it is. Just like having Bobby Green, just other people. But it's not perfect. It's not exact science. But I mean, I don't know. They're accusing him of having a after weigh-in pre-fight IV to rehydrate, which the U is illegal in the UFC. It used to be illegal, and I think what it was, people were just cutting way too much weight, so they wanted to cut down a little bit on that. And there's still guys cutting a crazy amount of weight, like Islam, like Volk, like Alex Bahia. There's a lot of guys out there, but I think they got rid of the IV for that reason. So, from what I understood before, was if you use the IV, you kind of automatically lose. I'm not sure if that's true or not, but I think that was what was going on, if I'm not mistaken. But I'm not exactly sure on that. But if the rules have changed or not since then. So I mean, there's a picture out there. Obviously, everybody, Islam. There's a nurse that came out talking against Dan Hooker, saying find that nurse because it's like a pre-fight. They get pre-fight and post-fight um, blood, draw blood. Drug. Was this a drug test or was this an actual IV to try and rehydrate? We all seen how like drawn and how there was a lot of bad weight cuts. You look at Josh Emmett, he looked horrible. So we had that one. We had Josh Emmett, and there was another guy. Trying to think, he was Australian, but there was a couple bad weight cuts with these guys. Yeah, the guy who beat Randy Brown, I can't think of his name, Jack Delhomme, or I can't think of his damn name right now. But anyway, he was in the Coco man. He knocked out or he choked out Randy Brown. But anyway, those guys looked horrible. Like they could not freaking they couldn't talk or get a thought out, let alone answer questions. So I mean, yeah, that's so. Who knows if this is real or not? But their marks are there. I don't know if it was. I don't think it was Photoshop. Seems it's some multiple pictures, and they look like track marks, like you're drug addict or something. But And most likely for IV, they're going to look for veins. I always figured they'd be on your hand, but maybe not because I always figured it'd be like kind of right here, like on your hand. But I guess it's pretty much wherever they find the better veins. But these guys are veined out everywhere. I don't know. I mean, the fight was close. What I'm saying? It could have went either way. It was, yeah, I mean, it was back and forth. Like I said, to be the closer rounds were 2 and 3. I rewatched it and I could see Islam got takedowns in pretty much the first three, but I could picture. I mean, I could see how you could go either way actually, because the second round seemed like Volk had some success, and then also Islam did too. So I mean, it's hard to say. The third was just as close. I mean, I just feel like there's no way it's 49-46 for one. That means that guy, that judge only gave him the fifth round, I believe, which was obvious round. Was an obvious round to score, but I think it was a lot closer than that 3-2. I would have been. I mean, I don't know. So I'm just saying, like, what's next? I mean, like for one thing, Volk he still has the pound for pound. He still has the pound for pound title right now. So I don't know if that's because people thought it was such a close fight, or that they thought he really won or should have won, or what it was. Or I think what like Volk was saying, if he was on Ariel, he was saying, well, if he was 40, he's at my division, I would have ran through him. But it's like you can't really say shit like that because you chose to fight him at 55, and it's still going to be as a weight class that you're thinking about moving into. So I mean, how does that make sense, really? Right? I mean, you got to just eat that. You can't be like, oh, if it was this, if it was that. Now a friend used to say, my aunt had a dick, she'd be my uncle. So it's like you say if all you want, if and when, but I mean, like I said, very close fight. I want to see it ran back for sure. I don't know about immediately because you got Yair waiting. I mean, I think a lot of guys are maybe licking their chops for Islam now. Like even Dustin Poirier. Like if I'm Dustin Poirier, I'm raising my hand right now. He's been calling him out fight night. Like, where's Islam? I want you. Where are you at? You know what I mean? That's what I would have done as a fighter if in his position, I just say, because obviously. But I mean, I just feel like I'm not saying like Islam was exposed. He might have been. Maybe we overestimated him a little bit and underestimated Volk, because I mean, even me, I picked Islam to win. I was thinking like third round TKO or something like that. Thought the ground game would be too much, and I was wrong because Volk had an answer for that. Had an answer for that somewhat. I mean, that's a 10-round fight or a no time limit fight. Volk wins that fight. At the end of the fifth round, he was fresh. Like I wish if he would have just disengaged in that last minute maybe and just kind of let off on him after he kind of hurt him or hit him with a good shot, end up on top, end up in Islam's guard. It would have been nice if he had just came in and let him up. I mean, like get up and just caught him and just let his hands go. He might have caught. He might have got caught too. Islam did do some good stuff on the feet as well. I mean, he rocked, or I don't say he rocked, but he dropped Volk, a couple times. Also landed some nice knees. Actually cut him open in that fifth round. So I mean, those rounds that are like round two though, like I talked about before on the podcast, a couple right after the fight, post fight. I feel like those should be 10-10 rounds. Like, why does there have to be a winner? Why do we have to pick? I know everybody wants to see a winner. I get that. But a round's that close, back and forth, both people hurt each other or drop. Not a lot of damage other than that, or it's comparable like both ways. 10-10. I don't care. That fight right there, I would have rather seen. I think that people would have been happier as a whole. There wouldn't be so much controversy if it had just been a draw. If that's what leads to more draws, and fuck it, one more round. Let's do another round. Let's either do a sixth round or you run it back right away. I think that's how it goes. But I mean, with the super fights, I know you don't want to draw, but maybe they have something in that contract. Let's go another round if it's a tie. I mean, I don't know, because it just sucks. It was a close fight. Could have went either way. I mean, I guess Volk didn't really lose much out of this, whether Islam was cheating or not. I mean, I don't know if he was or not. I don't think he would be, But if he was and he was struggling to make weight that much where he needed an IV, even if this doesn't get overturned and nothing happens, that kind of shows that he's going to have to move up soon. He might have another couple of defenses in him. Maybe he can get the winner of Charles, which he already beat Charles. So, I kind of want to see him and Dariush next, but now, yeah, it seems like they're going to fight in May. So he would have to get past Charles first. But, I mean, even like if, imagine, like I said, Dustin Poirier, he's got good hands. If he's right there, he's not that easy to take down. I mean, he's not as explosive as Volk, but he definitely probably hits harder in both hands, and that's a winnable fight for him now. I think like one thing we've seen that Islam is human. I mean, like he can get tired, he can get busted up a little bit. And I think it's just the whole mystique of the whole Dagestani style of fighting. And you see Khabib was like deemed invincible. Like, what I'm saying? Like nothing, you're gonna have to shoot that guy to stop him because he's just running after you, eating punches, eating leg kicks from hard leg kickers, and just keep coming and takes you down when he wants and mauls you, basically mauls you. Islam tried, I think he might have tried a little too hard with the wrestling, even with Volk, because Volk's a little strong guy. Maybe he underestimated Volk's strength, actually, just physical power. What's crazy is like Volk has the most amazing cardio, I think, in the UFC. I mean, you got triathletes, Nick Diaz, these guys. Yeah, Kobe, who's great too, as far as cardio wise. I mean, he'd go, for 5 rounds. But damn, Volk's right there too, because I mean, everything he does is explosive. He's feigning, he's throwing hard shots. He's trying to like basically stop takedowns from a bigger guy, and even took him down. I mean, he's just, and he just jumps right back up and ready to go again. Like even after just a grueling wrestling where Islam had his back for like 2 minutes when he was punching his back, saying, I thought you wanted to knock me out, like not telling me I thought you wanted to knock you out, you knocked me out and this and that. And now you're just laying me, you're just holding me, you're holding on. At the end of the fight, Islam was holding on. What I mean? He was tired. He got busted up a bit, It was just a tough fight. It was a great fight, though. It was one of my favorite fights of recent. It was back and forth action. It was exciting. I was yelling, yeah, on the TV. It was good. But I definitely want to see it again. But I don't think they should do it immediately. It would be cool to, but let me get back to what I was gonna say. If Islam can't make that weight, you know, you put him at 170. Like, don't get me wrong, maybe he'll even be better because he's heavier. But like, there's a lot of wrestlers at 170. You know what I mean? You got Kobe if and when he comes back, Usman, Kamzat. I mean, there's a lot of killers there who can wrestle. So I mean, even Gilbert Burns. I mean, he's not such much wrestler, but he's so dangerous on the ground and standing. I mean, if he had the cardio level, but if that, to go 5 rounds, when he has went 5 rounds, I mean, he can do it, but that would be a more grueling type fight if there's a lot of grappling involved. But I mean, that's fucking crazy, right? Those are all good matchups. Those now it just seems like Islam is almost in like a position where like maybe he could just dominate at 55, but like if you're Michael Chandler is basically like a little bit bigger, more jacked Volkanovski. Maybe not the fight IQ or the way he fights, I should say. I mean, it's not like he doesn't know how to, what he should do. He just don't follow that game plan, right? So, but if he did, I mean, man, his right hand, he could have hurt Islam right there a lot, because Volkanovski was landing right hands. So I mean, if that was freaking Michael Chandler's explosive right hand, and then takes him down, dumps him, I mean, maybe Islam can't take him down as easy either. I mean that's even him, but he's got Conor right now, money fight, but then he would definitely have to put some wins together besides Conor. But I mean, that's just saying there's some matchups out there, even at 55. There's some good guys right there who might be able to contend with Islam now. I think a lot of people with that fear of that, that whole Mike Tyson and Ronda Rousey aura where they can't be beat, or it's kind of like that with the Dagestans. They get a hold of you, it's over. You lost, and I was victim of it too a little bit as far as in this matchup for sure. I thought Islam was be way stronger and just be able to control. He did control somewhat. I mean, he held on, didn't do a whole lot of damage on the ground. He did on the feet, but not on the ground. So I mean, I think that Mystique is a little bit like shot. I don't know if I think more, but I hear anyone calling him out. So, like I said, maybe Poirier and all these guys, I would be freaking Gagey. I would be putting my hand up. One thing we know, Islam is not Khabib. I mean, I said this before. I don't know if I actually even agree with myself with this, but I think if that's Khabib Volk, I mean, he might, I won't say run through Volk, but maybe, maybe he finishes Volk. I mean, if he had Volk's back up against a cage, a couple of dominant positions, a couple of times we had the body lock in, he wasn't just going to sit there and wait and hold on until the end of the round. I mean, he would put a beating and give him something else or make a mistake or scramble, and just a little bit different. It's just a lot different actually, because Khabib's just way more just aggressive, smart, steps ahead, ferocious. So I mean, I think like he had that more of the fear, like, yeah, I don't know if I want to fight this guy, but I don't know if Islam has that anymore. But I mean, we'll see what happens. I mean, that was his first title defense in hostile territory, around the other side of the fucking world. So I mean, there's a lot and huge, crazy crowd all booing him. So I mean, crazy. We'll see what comes out. If anything comes out of this USADA thing, I don't know what type of evidence or proof that Hooker has, or these guys. I don't know. A lot of people saying don't ever trust what a Hooker says. All this. I mean, we'll see. I don't know about that, but we'll see what happens with that. What's next? And like I said, Volk kept his pound for pound rankings, and kind of makes sense though, just because I mean he didn't really get beat. I mean he lost the fight, but he didn't get like so demoralized or be dominated, anything like that. He lost some points against a bigger guy, held his own, and some people thought he won the fight. I mean it could have went either way. If you go to the second round, if you flip that second round, it's probably 2, 3, and 5 for Volk. So that'd be a win right there. I mean that round was close. Like if that's a 10-10 round, I don't know. You do the math. I mean, it could be a close fight. A lot of people are saying the fifth could be a 10-8. I don't think that, just because Islam did cut open Volk in that round. So that can't be a 10-10. I mean, a 10-8. That has to be at least a 10-9 loss for Islam. And yeah, we'll see what goes from here. I mean, as far as the cheating things, we'll see what the allegations are. I mean, one thing is though, like to get back to the weight cut, and I remember I was watching MMA Guru actually touched on this. My son told me to talk about it a little bit too. Was that I mean, like, why are they doing these interviews with Josh Emmett? Looked really bad. He looked like death's door, like he was knocking on that, knocking on heaven's door, or just like kind of looked like Connor at 45, like a freaking shaved bird, you know what I mean, or something, just fucking sucked up and cut, but sucked the fuck up. And I mean, Josh Emmett kind of looked like that too. And there, you got, like fucking Dominic, asking Dominic Cruz, asking him like some cerebral type questions that he can't even really, put a sentence together coherently. He's sounding kind of like Joe Biden, but no, not to get political. I'm just saying, like, he could barely formulate his thoughts right because his brain is dehydrated and he needs to be hydrated. And same thing with Jack, like they're asking him questions and he didn't know, he barely knew, and he kept repeating himself over and over again, saying the exact same shit because he wasn't all there. So let these guys, like, why straight off the scale? Like, let them hydrate a little bit. Like, hey, let them hydrate for even 10 fucking minutes, 20 minutes. Let them get some fluids in them. Then come back. A weigh-in shows like a few hours. Then come, all right, we got him back. Oh, he looks a little better now. He's welcome back to the world of the living, type shit. They're all up there looking like Night of the Living Dead, But what another thing too that I want to touch. So I mean, the UFC needs to do something about that. Just stop that. Stop those fucking interviews. You have the ceremonial weigh-ins, which the fans like, and the stare downs, all that. Well, that's when you do your interviews. After those, don't do it right off the scale. I mean, these guys are ready to collapse almost. The other guy, Jack, he's like freaking shaking out there. I mean, that's twitching and shit. Like that's just not cool. It's not professional. It's not a good look. So to see your fighters that way. So if you want to put it out there that you do care about your fighters and not get that criticism, that's the way to do it, is by, cutting those interviews for sure. At least you got the ceremonial. That's when you do it. After they're rehydrated, after they got some food in them, whatever. They got some brain cells back. You know what I mean? Yeah, that's the one to do it. That was one thing I'll touch on. But another thing, like I was thinking, like Islam, like this might be like, say Islam can't make 55. I think there's a time, if he is going to be a bona fide superstar, not just for him, I'm saying, but for all those in betweeners, let's have more weight divisions. 165. Why do these guys kill themselves, whether they need an IV or not? Like, why don't you have these guys at their natural? Now, I'm not saying the natural weight, but like even Kobe, like look at this list I was thinking of earlier. Okay, you got Islam. I think he'd be good at 65. Maybe not 55, but even 63, whatever, like a wrestling type shit. 163, 165. You also have guys like, even a freaking back in the day anyway, like a throwback, Diego Sanchez might have been good at a division like that. Kevin Lee is another one. Even though he's a thick dude, but a little bit on the shorter side, I think. But he's got muscle. He's heavy. He's a tank, and I mean, there's a few guys like that could be in that middle range. Maybe even Masvidal. Maybe No, I don't say Usman, but Kobe's one for sure. Kobe Covington would be good right there. Gilbert Burns maybe, because 70 he's a little bit smaller. Imagine him at 65. I mean, there's a lot of guys out there I think that could make that. I had more on my list earlier when I was thinking about this, talking to Benji, but now, yeah, but still, there's a few names right there just that could do. Even Dustin Poirier, maybe, like those guys, like in between. Even though he's a little bit bigger, but it's not like he's a little shorter. He's not going to make 185. I mean, he could. He probably walked around at that, but he's not going to fight at that. So I mean, 160, more weight classes. Let these guys stop killing themselves to make weight. I mean, I don't know about like a 195. I can see 185 and 205 makes a little sense, but for sure, I think, I mean, you get all the way up to 55 and then you got 15-pound jump. Just do 65, 75, 85, and then 205, I think. Just add one more weight class, really. I mean, and change set 170, change watcher weight to 170 or whatever. You can make that other one junior welterweight or a super middleweight or super lightweight, something like that in between, something like that, or make up a fucking name. Cruiserweight was like 190s, 180s in the boxing, but you can make that, and it don't matter what the weights because some of them are backwards anyway, so what I mean. But I mean, I don't know, man. That's yeah, that's what I want to talk about. That's all that's been on. I hope something comes out of this, at least a statement. I know obviously Islam teams that come out and say, yeah, Hooker's a hater, he's full of shit, I wasn't cheating, whatever. I don't know. But the one thing I didn't like about Islam, he kind of came out and was like, oh, just because Volk said he thought he won, which, like I said, that's one round difference, 3-2. It could have went either way in the second and the third, honestly. So maybe it could have been a 4-1 Makhachev, but I just didn't see that, Makhachev. But I still think, that's so he come out and say like, well, I rewatched two and he thought Volk only won one round or 1 minute of like 24. He won 24 minutes basically, and Volk won the last round. Which I mean, I don't see that. I mean, Volk had moments in every round except maybe the fourth. I thought was a little more dominant from Islam. When he had his back for holding out to him for like the last minute or two. But had that body triangle in, which sucks because he was against the cage and on the wrong side, so it was kind of hard to escape it because you want to escape it where that ankle is or where the foots are locked. If you can get all your weight shifted onto that side, that's a lot of pressure on that ankle, on that body triangle. But they were on the other side of, because the cage was right there, so he couldn't really turn them that way. So he was on the other side where it was comfortable for Islam, and it was hard for him to escape. He was trying to do like where you get your back to the mat and then turn into him, but it's hard when you got that body lock to do that. I mean, the other way is better because you got to break that grip first of the triangle. Once you do that, then you can try that other escape. But like overall, Volk did a great job, and he was super impressive. Henry Cejudo came out saying he still wants to fight him, and I still think that's an intrigue. I think it's an intriguing matchup. I mean, I honestly do favor Volk. Like I won't say like 3-1 or 4-1 or nothing like that, but I do favor him. Just because he is stronger. I get it. Henry's a Olympic wrestler, unbelievable wrestler, all that, but which is so was Islam. And Henry's a lot more explosive and quick. Islam's a little slower, but it's still gonna be hard because Volk is still a tank and he's gonna do his homework and he's not gonna be that easy to take down. And it's been a while since Henry really is taking people down and just like held him down or beat him up. I mean, he's more standing up on his feet. So I think it'll be more of a stand-up game chess match, which fuck, I gotta like Volk's chances. He's gonna be bigger, stronger than that. Cejudo probably be faster, but Volk's pretty damn fast too. So he's an explosive. So that's a good matchup to make in the future. Cejudo still needs to get that. Triple C needs to get that champ. Get his belt back if he beats Aljo, and then from there, you still might have O'Malley. So that'll be 2 fights still before he can get to Volk. And who knows if he and Volk will even be in 145. I think Volk could actually give some guys at 55 a problem just because of his speed and his strength. Before I didn't think that. Before I thought, oh, he's way too small. But I mean, for him to do that and to say that he thought Islam didn't really feel that strong. So I mean, yeah, I don't know. What do you guys think? Yeah, that's probably about it because that's probably what this video about. So I got some other stuff to make. but yeah, we'll see. We'll see if Hooker can back up. Let's see if the Hooker could back up their words, so to speak. See what's going on with that. Yeah, give a like and a follow. Uh, Schizo Radio, MMA on Spotify too. Podcast. Had a breakdown, recap, few hours, Junkin recap the other day, and it was cool. But that'll be it for now, and that's it. Peace.